What's going on, family? What's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Shout out to every single one of you guys that's tuning in with your boy tonight. Super appreciative of every single one of y'all that's here with me. Super excited to go ahead and provide you guys with this value. Super excited to go ahead and really help you guys out in your trading journey, your trading careers. And I'm super excited to see exactly how many of you guys eventually really get to that level that you aspire to be here, family. But go ahead and drop those locations in the chat. I see we got Michigan in the building. What is up? Louisiana in the house. What is going on? We got Charlotte, North Carolina in the building as well. Right, Guyana, Las Vegas. Go ahead and continue dropping those locations, family. We got Tampa in the building. What's going on, Tampa? How you doing? Malaysia on the check-in as well. Trinidad and Tobago. What is going on? Shout out to every single one of you guys. We got PR in the building. Go ahead and continue dropping those locations in the chat, family. Right, continue dropping those locations, and we're gonna have a phenomenal session, a phenomenal stream tonight, as usual, because that's my job, to come out here and provide you guys with massive value overall. And I look forward to actually going ahead and really doing that for every single one of y'all. But tonight's stream is gonna be super informative. It's gonna be straight to the point, because I do got a super early morning. All right, I'm going to be taking a trip tomorrow, so I got a super early morning, guys, so I probably won't be on here as long as usual. But for the time that I am on here, I will make it absolutely worth it for every single minute that you guys decide to stay on. All right, and yeah, hopefully you guys gain some value tonight, family. But let's see who else we got. We got Vermont in the building. We got B-More, Baltimore, Maryland. What's up? We got Jamaica, Riverside, California, Miami, New Jersey. What is going on? I'm from Earth. What's going on, Cody? How are you doing? We got St. Lucia. We got Miami in the building as well. Shout out to every single one of you guys that's tuning in right now. Super appreciative for every single one of y'all that is showing me love, that's on here with the intentions of truly wanting to learn. And again, my goal is very simple, guys, to really just help you guys overall really get, ultimately much better in your trading journey, in your trading career, right? So we got the 5th Ward, Texas. We got Kuala Lumpur in the building, Dania Beach, Florida, Suriname in the house as well. Shout out to all you guys, right? But let's go ahead and get right into this, family. Like I said, we're not gonna beat around the bush today. We're gonna get right into the market, see what the markets have been doing, and see what we can pretty much come up with, guys, going into tonight and going into tomorrow morning. Obviously, London session, New York sessions are by far the best times to actually trade, the most volatile times of the day, most volatile times of the markets as a whole. So what we're doing tonight, what we're doing on this stream, is really just preparing ourselves, guys, for London session and preparing ourselves for New York as well. So we do have a phenomenal trading days, or pretty much as the next trading day, where to pretty much close out the week overall. But just to get started, guys, we did have some news that actually got released today. We did have the monetary policy meeting reports for the ECB, the Euro, and over there, guys, like, they're going through a hell of a lot right now. The Euro is absolutely getting destroyed overall across the board, and it really has to do with a lot of the monetary policies that's happening over there across the seas. But not just that, every single economy across the world right now is dealing with a whole bunch of different factors like inflation, raising interest rates, and things like that. But there's definitely a lot as well, guys, going on over there in the European economy, and they're getting destroyed because of that, right? So that's definitely something that actually came out. The meeting minutes, the actual report of what was actually said in the last meeting, the monetary policy meeting that was released. And I spoke about this yesterday, guys, as well, that these type of releases could be very important for us as traders, right? Because when we're actually able to really figure out what they're speaking about, it gives us an ability to create sentiment in the market. And when we're able to create sentiment in the market, it allows us to be positioned as well in a way that it helps us out as well, right? So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to be honest, I did not actually look into the release. I should have definitely looked into it, and I might end up doing it tonight just so that I can get a little bit of an insight of what they spoke about, and maybe it could help us out as well, going into next week on how we could position ourselves for the Euro. But what we do know actually got released today, guys, was the initial jobless claims. It actually came out higher than expected. We actually been talking about this as well, guys, in terms of jobless claims. I expect this number to continue to increase over the next months, maybe even over the next year. Now, for those of you guys that don't know what the initial jobless claims release is, well, very simple. You can go to any of these calendars and it'll tell you exactly what these actual releases measure. Right, so the initial jobless claims measures the number of individuals who filed for unemployment insurance for the first time during the past week. Now, they were actually forecasting 230,000 new people actually filed for unemployment. It actually came out higher, guys, at 235,000. Now, again, this is something I've been literally telling you guys now for the past month or so, and what we could be expecting, what we could start to see across the board because of inflation, because of interest rates going up, because of a whole bunch of these different factors, because of obviously, a decreasing economy. There's a lot of different factors that's occurring, guys, but overall we should expect, these numbers to continue to increase, right? And we're talking about, jobless numbers, right? Unemployment rates starting to increase. The number of people that's filing for unemployment starting to increase, right? And it really has to do with a lot of these outside factors, guys, that is affecting this markets overall, which is ultimately affecting a lot of these businesses. Because right now, a lot of these businesses, guys, across the world, due to their shrinking margins, right, their profit margins are starting to decrease. They're going to have to cut costs somewhere, right? Usually it's going to be through things like, at the first, is usually going to be like things like advertising and marketing and things like that. But then eventually it's going to lead to, them having to fire people, right? And that's why we're going to start to see or continue to see an uptick, guys, in the initial jobless claims because of that, right? Because there's going to be a lot of people that start to get unemployed or start to become unemployed, guys, over the next few months because of all the things that we're pretty much dealing with. So this is, for me personally, this is no surprise, but that in itself, guys, can continue to add, a lot of strain on a lot of these economies, right? And the interesting about that is that we actually did get that negative data that came out, but the stock market as a whole actually ended up rebounding a little bit, right? So we've seen the S&P 500, guys, actually increase in value, right? Literally over the past 24 hours, which is actually pretty interesting. But I believe that we're also going to really see this thing eventually turn around. Like, I would not be surprised, guys, and I'm really getting straight into the indice market because of the data that was just released. But I believe that we could realistically, guys, start to see this thing really turn around and head right back down to the downside. Because overall, as we start to see a lot of this chaos, a lot of this fear, a lot of this uncertainty in the markets, we're going to start to see a lot of these indice markets, guys, continue to reflect that as well. So overall, I do believe that this is going to start to tick lower. I mean, as of right now, guys, we pretty much are close to a supply zone, pretty much tapping into an area of supply. So do not be surprised if we do start to identify, bearish structure up in this area, because that can be an opportunity for you to go ahead and get involved, like literally, right? So for me personally, for S&P 500, anywhere up in this supply zone is a very, very good chance, a very, very good opportunity, guys, to go ahead and look for some shorts here, in my opinion. Right now, another area that I'm also going to be paying attention to and keeping my eyes on is also going to be this area of supply all the way up here. If for whatever reason, right, because the market's going to do what it wants to do at the end of the day, right? So, but for whatever reason, guys, the market just continues to gain strength even after that type of data that was released, which is negative data. And that wasn't it neither. We did have crude oil inventories, which is probably not going to affect overall the economy, but I mean, not going to affect at least these, the stock market as aggressively as the initial jobless claims report is. But overall, we're either going to sell off from here, or we could potentially even sell off from there. But overall, I definitely am expecting a lot more downside, and I'm probably expecting us to really, there's a high probability that we actually do end up selling off from right here as well. All right, shout out to COVID in the building. What's going on, COVID effects? I appreciate you. Welcome to the family. Right, so overall, guys, this is what I'm looking at. Again, just pretty much reacting to what we've been seeing in terms of data. We are at a very nice supply zone. So as usual, why is these areas very important? Because clearly we had an influx of supply. A lot of people were literally selling their positions in the S&P 500, and ultimately that caused the sellers to really dominate over this period in time right now. Now price came all the way back up to retest up into that area of supply. And yeah, there were a ton of orders that were filled on the sell side. There's still a lot of unfilled orders, guys, that are probably going to end up getting filled as well. So that's why I'm really expecting this market, guys, to really potentially turn around and send us much lower to the downside, right? So fundamentally, it makes sense for this to actually start to decrease. From a technical perspective, we're at a very interesting level as well, where we can also really start to see this thing decrease. So do not be surprised, guys, by the morning time, we're either trading lower, or even for New York session, we might see a spike up into this supply zone, and then we really go ahead and see more so of a decline right back down to the downside as well, guys, for the S&P 500, right? And again, that's more so based off logic, right? Based off logical decisions, right? Fundamentally, it makes sense. Technically, it makes sense. Sentimentally, it makes sense. And yeah, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if we actually did end up seeing that occur, and then we seen price really come and wanted to go ahead and clear these lows. So straight to it, you know, something like this might not be a bad opportunity for us to take advantage of, be a part of, you know, and so on and so forth, you know, because it does make sense, right? It makes a lot of freaking sense, you know, for this to actually go ahead and really happen. And then we could realistically go ahead and target these levels of structure down here, guys. So, you know, overall, getting right into it, like I said, we're not going to beat around the bush today, you know, because I do got to get off a little bit earlier than usual, right? I'm not going to be on here for the full 2 hours like I typically am. But I probably will just give you guys a solid hour of value, and that's why I'm going right into it, guys. But overall, this is definitely going to be a very interesting opportunity to go ahead and take advantage of, guys, going into New York session tomorrow. Now, as well, the US 30, you know, NAS 100 are definitely obviously a big popular ones as well. Very similar outlook, guys, for those assets as well. You know, for most of the indices, they're pretty much playing very, very similarly. They move very similarly. Right, so same thing, you know, if we're able to see, you know, US 30, guys, go ahead and pop up into this area, up above into the 31,500 level, 31,500 level, then very simple, you know, I really want to see price go ahead and really turn over and react bearishly, you know, off of that data as well, right? So overall, I really like that. I'm going to be targeting back down to these lows as well if I was able to get into these. And yeah, this also looks really, really good. Right, so very simple, you know, very, very simple plays here, guys. And let's go ahead and take a look at NAS 100. See, now NAS, dirty NAS, is already in this supply zone. Right, like this is the one that's pretty much already in it, like all the way in it too. So if you were, for whatever reason, looking at an opportunity that you want to get involved in ASAP, right, then you really want to start identifying what NAS is doing right now, right? Because it's really playing off. I mean, price is literally in the area right now where we could realistically see some type of reactions from, you know, and we can possibly get involved to really send this thing much lower. Right now, I actually just got off, guys, literally about maybe an hour and a half ago, right? I actually just got off, you know, doing a boot camp, or finishing up pretty much the 5-day boot camp, because I ended up adding an entirely new day, a bonus day, so day number 6 to the 5-day boot camp. And just so you know, that was extremely, extremely saucy, right? Like we went in depth on really just identifying entries and understanding how to freaking structure a plan for first things first when it comes to setting up an opportunity, but then really understanding what to look for in terms of entries and how to really play these supply and demand zones, right? So if you was just on that day boot camp with me, right, that we literally just got off not too long ago, then you guys should definitely know what to be looking for, guys, when it comes to identifying entries in the supply and demand zones that we're talking about. Okay, so especially right here with NAS 100, since we're in that supply zone, you guys know what you guys should be looking for, you know, in these areas and how to play off it. But very simple. We're not going to get too in depth into that, right? I'll create something for you guys in the future, really breaking that stuff down. But overall, guys, like looking to short NAS, you know, from this area right here is not a bad play. All right, like looking for some shorts, if we're able to see price come up into this level, right, is really, really going to be super, super attractive, right, in my opinion personally. So for NAS, if we're able to spike back up into this area right here of structure, then I really, really like this opportunity to go ahead and go short on. Okay, let's see, bro, I forgot. Don't worry, I'm gonna send out the video anyways, right? You know, anybody that was a part of the boot camp, you are gonna get a copy of that video either way. It should be out tonight, if not by tomorrow morning. It will definitely be in your email, so definitely go ahead and rewatch that, because it was absolutely saucy. I personally feel like it was like the real perfect way to actually end the boot camp, right? Because we actually technically ended it last week with a phenomenal session, but this session that I just did today for everybody was that, I think that was like the little icing on top, right? That was the cherry on top of this entire 5-day boot camp, because now all you guys that participate in it, now you guys are aware of how to really change your mindset, deal with your emotions. Now you guys are also aware of how to really change your habits, change on how you look at money, right? Really understanding the limiting beliefs that are actually limiting you from really becoming a profitable trader, and changing those limiting beliefs to more empowering beliefs. And that was all taught on day one, right? Everything I just talked about, that was just day one, right? But even though, even going into day two, guys, everybody that was a part of it should now have a much deeper understanding of risk management, of trade management, of money management techniques as well. And then going into the technical aspect or the fundamental aspect, everybody that was a part of the boot camp as well should also understand the importance of fundamental analysis, how to read the actual economic calendars, how to play them, how to take advantage of them, how to play sentiment, how to read sentiment from a higher level than most people. Right, and then going into the technical perspective, you guys all also understand the importance of supply and demand, how to play supply and demand. And then going into, the fifth day and what we spoke about today, putting it all together. Oh, man. You guys have the entire blueprint now to really, really go ahead and change the game. Like, literally, right? Like, every single thing that I just talked about, we literally broke down in depth on the boot camp. Each day was absolutely next level. And all of you guys that were a part of it should now be able to really eventually get to the point where you're starting to see results and seeing success. Remember, that boot camp was created not to create profitable traders, but it was also created, guys, to create the next round of mentors, the next round of educators, the next round of success stories that's now inspiring and helping other traders to also grow, right? So there was a lot of information that was given on that boot camp. And I know for a fact a lot of you guys are going to take advantage of it, and a lot of you guys are also going to benefit it as well, right? It was absolutely next level, right? And today was the cherry on top, because I taught you guys a lot about smart money concepts as well, and what to look for and how to avoid the trap that a lot of these big banks, these institutions end up creating. And now you guys are aware of all that stuff. So, man, that was just a lot of what I just said. But I really wanted to just really break down, guys, everything that you guys really got, because the boot camp itself was just so valuable, so next level. And it really just goes in, just really talks about everything that you need to really know in order to become a profitable trader, right? So shout out to all you guys that were part of it. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. I'm going to make those boot camp videos my obsession. There we go, Maria, right? That's the best way to do it realistically. And when you put it all together, next level, right? Next level. But today's session was all about learning how to pretty much become a sniper in the markets, and we literally broke down just that today, and that was absolutely game changer, right? So overall was absolutely lit, right? So overall though, guys, do not be surprised if we do see NAS 100 do something like this tomorrow, right? Like, by the time I wake up in the morning, I would not be surprised if we actually do see price realistically end up playing out just like this. Again, fundamentally it makes sense, technically it makes sense, so logically it makes a lot of sense completely, right? Like, it makes so much sense for us to really go ahead and see this opportunity play out. Okay, so this is something that you can take advantage of, right? Keep your eyes on if you're interested in it. If we see price spike up into this 12,000 range, 12,100, then yeah, looking for that short is not a bad idea or a bad opportunity to take advantage of at all. All right, so that's pretty much where we're at, guys, with NAS and with the indices overall. All right, they're all very similar. Is NAS the same as US30? They're similar, right? They react and they move very similar because they are indexes, that measure a bucket of different companies, right, that are grouped together, right? US30 is, I believe, the top 30 companies in the world, in the US. Right, where NAS 100 is more so related to technology companies, the top 100 technology companies in the US, and then the S&P 500 is like all the blue chip, the main, the top 500 companies, in the US, right? Which is why the S&P 500 is more so utilized as a gauge to really, pretty much predict economic health overall in an economy. So, they move very, very similarly though, right? They're not the same, but they do move very, very similarly. All right, let's see what else we got. This boot camp definitely going to be the game for me, 100%. All right, where is the boot camp? So the boot camp was already created. We did it all last week. Today was just an extra icing on the top. But, yeah, so that's already passed. That's already done overall. Let's see. Had to miss the live bonus boot camp session, but can't wait till you drop the recording because I'm ready. I got you, Rob. Right, it's going to be in your email. I would literally send it to you guys. Actually, let me go ahead and do this right now, actually. Let me go ahead and actually get this up and running right now for you guys. Give me 1 second. Let me get this going for y'all so that I can have it to you guys ASAP. All right, let's see. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Bootcamp day number 6. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Off. Oh yeah. All right, there we go. That's going. That's uploading. So again, it should be in your email by tonight. For whatever reason I can't send it tonight, then I'll definitely have it in your email by the morning time. Right, but that's gonna be next level. Let's see. Shout out to Filthy Beard Co in the building. What's going on? I appreciate you. How are you doing? Welcome to the family, or well, at least welcome to the stream. Right. Let's see. Next group of mentors sounds good. That's definitely gonna be you. I promise you. Thank you, Abel. I missed the last day as well, but we'll watch as soon as I receive it in my email. It's definitely coming for you, Marley. Right. I got it literally uploading right now, and I will send you guys the access to it as soon as it's done. All right, so this is what we're looking at, guys, for the indices. Overall, we are in supply zones. We are in interesting areas overall. You know, again, S&P 500, the US 30, they're all looking at very similar reactions and very similar plays. Right now, what I want to talk to you guys about today as well, before I even go ahead and look at anything else, is why, you know, or how we're able to really take advantage of what the dollar is doing to really help us predict what a lot of these assets like the indice market is going to do. Right, because I actually did a little bit of research today, guys, and I really started back testing how, you know, the dollar reacts versus how the S&P 500 or any of these indices pretty much react, you know, during the same exact time, right? And what I did was I literally utilized, right, the actual chart right here, and I actually used the compare tool, the compare symbol that, you know, TradingView actually has, and you could really start to see, guys, how these things end up moving and how much of a negative correlation they typically have towards each other, right? Which means when people are investing in the dollar, the US dollar, they're typically leaving the indice market as a whole, right? Now, I'm actually going to do it this way, right? Let's go ahead and bring this up. Let's go ahead and bring the dollar index, right? I want you guys to really look at this, right? Because this is information that could possibly really just help you out overall, right? Like it really can, right? So looking at the actual, let me see. This is 15. Yeah, so looking at these markets, guys, and just really just trying to compare both of them. If we really look at what, you know, since 2020 to the beginning of this year, what the S&P 500 has done, and also looking at what the dollar has done, we can really start to see some type of correlations, guys, between the two. Now, another thing that I also realized as well, right, is that the S&P, you know, typically lags behind what, not always, but it does have some type of a lag, guys, for, you know, compared to the actual dollar as a whole, right? So let's go ahead and really look at this, guys, and see what we actually got here, right? So I'm looking at now, again, the S&P 500 is at the top, the dollar index is at the bottom. And if we really look at this, guys, at the same exact periods in time, which right here is the same exact period in time, April 10th, right? April 10th, April 11th, 2022, right? We can see overall, or not even April, but back in December, we could see that the S&P 500, guys, pretty much reached a high of 4,800, and ever since then, we've pretty much been tumbling to the downside. Now, around that same exact time, though, right, we also seen that the dollar has already started to go higher, right? So now seeing an influx of people going into the dollar should have been evidence, guys, that this was possibly going to go ahead and reverse, and that we were going to start to see a downturn in the S&P. Right, because when investors start flooding into currencies like the US dollar, typically they're liquidating another asset in order to do that. So when we seen actually people come into the dollar and they started buying the dollar all day long back in June of 2021, right, we should have started to expect that eventually this was going to go ahead and turn around as well, because more and more people are going to start liquidating, you know, their assets and start investing heavy into the actual currency, because of all the chaos and all the uncertainty and all the fear that's been happening in the world. So this in itself is pretty interesting. Right now, what's really cool is let's actually go back in time and really look at how, you know, these things compared, guys, you know, back when we were actually, you know, going through our last recession, right? Our last major recession, right? Which was back in 2008, right? The Great Recession, right? When we actually had the collapse of the housing market, the housing market collapse, which led to the stock market dropping, which led to a lot of different, situations actually occurring. But let's actually take a look at this, right, and see how these things actually correlated, right? So look at this right here, guys, right? Looking at the S&P 500, right? This is when this thing ended up plateauing around September, right? June, July, August, September, October is when this thing ended up pretty much really just plateauing. And then look at what happens here as well on the actual dollar index, right? There's some strong correlations here, right? Like, I'm trying to make it as even as possible, right? So we start to see this finally start to tumble because obviously the housing market ends up popping. And then guess what happens with the dollar? As this is starting to drop, the dollar finally starts to rise, right? It just shows, guys, the correlation that these things actually have, right? When there's times of chaos and fear, which is why I preach this so often, right? Big shout out to Graham in the building. What's going on, Graham? I appreciate you. Welcome to the family, right? Being our newest subscriber. But when we're looking at these things, guys, and we're trying to figure out from a fundamental perspective, from a sentimental perspective, how we can pretty much take advantage of opportunities by just looking at the dollar and correlating it to the stock market as a whole. Anytime there's fear and chaos and we see a downturn in the actual asset market, the equities market, the indice market as a whole, the dollar always benefits from that. I mean, ever since that collapse, guys, of 2008, the Great Recession that we've seen, the dollar has never actually reached back down to those lows that was created back there. We actually seen a continuation to the upside overall for the dollar, right? And every single time we see a downturn in the stock market, we typically see an increase in dollar demand. So when the point of me saying this is now that we're seeing such an increase in dollar demand again, the reason for that is because we're seeing such a decrease in the actual assets, right? The S&P 500 is completely tumbling. It's been tumbling since the beginning of this year. And if we really look at this, the dollar has been absolutely on fire as well because of that. I don't think that correlation is ever going to go anywhere, right? And this just really comes back, guys, to what I always tell you guys about understanding the difference between, or how to interpret news, right? Because right now we had negative data that actually came out, which negative data is typically bad for the economy, but that can lead to the currency actually gaining value. Okay, if it's bad for the economy, that's typically not, it could be, but not always, guys, is going to be bad for the currency, right? If it's bad for the economy, we can actually see the currency actually benefit from that. Now, why is that important? Well, when we're able to figure out what's going to happen across the board, then we can take that correlation of understanding what the dollar is going to do and then utilize it against other currency pairs that we're probably going to be trading, right? So if we're predicting now, because there's still so much chaos in the world, because there's a lot of uncertainty, guys, and we have a strong dollar and we still expect the strong dollar to continue, then guess what we can expect, right? Pairs that end in USD should go down, and pairs that begin in USD should go up, right? And when you understand this in itself can really change the game for you. Like, this is correlation 101. This is very basic information, but it's also extremely powerful information, right? So whenever we see things like stock market going down, whenever we have talks of recession, whenever we have things like interest rates going up, right? That in itself should automatically make you think like, all right, man, if all this stuff is here that's going to possibly cause the economy to lose value, lose steam, then we should expect the currency to increase. And now that's going to give us a much better opportunity to take advantage of these currency pairs that we're trading. So now Euro USD is getting destroyed because of this, right? AUD USD, we should expect some more downside. GBP USD, we should expect some more downside. USDJPY, we should expect more upside. USD CAD, we should expect more upside. That's just basic correlation 101, right? So now let's go ahead and take a look, guys, at the actual markets as a whole. Right now, what is happening here, guys, for the dollar, right? The dollar has been on it's been on a rampage for a while now, right? But most recently, literally over the past couple of days, we even seen an even stronger increase, even more demand for the dollar itself. Right, so the bullishness of this dollar is in no means going away anytime soon. But what we can experience, there is an opportunity to experience a pullback, right? Just based off what we're seeing, based on how we're reacting. If we really zoom out and go to the monthly time frame, we are also literally playing inside of a supply zone right now as we speak, right? So because of all these factors, because of where we're actually in, because of the supply zone, there is an opportunity for price to actually start to pull back, right? And not just that, guys, but this is also something that I taught in the boot camp, is understanding, guys, the difference in these pushes, right? Look at how aggressive this push was right here on the 4-hour time frame. That's a very strong move. We had a short pullback, but then look at this next move, right? Look at the difference in size that we have here, right? That is a way to really determine, guys, when momentum is starting to slow down, right? This push right here, let's just use, and again, the dollar index isn't measured in pips, I don't believe, but we're going to use the pips just for this example, just because it's easy for people to understand, right? So this whole move right here was 1,600 pips, right? The next impulse that we seen was not even half that, right? It was only 700 pips, right? So being able to identify this and comparing it to the next impulse in an area of supply where we could start to see people, especially a lot of people that got into the dollar buys lower end, a lot of people are probably going to start taking profits, right? Remember, a lot of people that bought at a discount, now is an opportunity for them to actually start liquidating those assets and start selling all those things that he got at a discount at a premium. So soon, I do expect the dollar, guys, to eventually give us a little bit of a deeper correction, right? It is very, very normal for it to happen, and I think that we could eventually see it happen very soon. I would love to see it happen whenever it does happen. I would love to see the dollar come all the way back down to around the 103, 104 level overall. Now, does that mean that we're going to start to see it happen right away, right now, anytime soon? I mean, the signs are starting to point to that very soon. Like, again, hypothetically speaking, though, but if we see the market actually go ahead and see another break of the highs, another impulsive move, but that impulsive move, guys, is also smaller than this most recent one. Again, this impulsive move was 70, 80 pips. If this next one comes in at only like 50, 60 pips, you have to learn how to read that type of change in momentum, right? Clearly, the demand is starting to slow down for this period in time right now. And when the demand is starting to slow down, that means that we can eventually start to expect a reversal in this market. And based off what we're looking at now in terms of price action, right, we are in this range right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually came up to clear this range, right? And I think we're going to clear this range because we do have this set of equal highs right here, right? Again, if you guys were on the call that we just had today, right, what is sitting above these equal highs, family? Right, which is why I do expect us to actually go ahead and run these highs, but what is going to be positioned above those highs? You guys know it, right? Yeah, liquidity, right? So there's going to be possible liquidity above those highs because it is a set of equal highs. So after we grab those equal highs, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually seen price come back below, and then that's the start of the overall correction itself, right? Because now above these equal highs, it's liquidity because, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of orders up there, right? It's going to be stop losses. It's going to be pending orders like breakout or like buy stops for those breakout traders. There's going to be a lot of different orders positioned up here. So there's going to be a lot of liquidity up there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see price run that. But if we did see price run that and we end up coming back below this level of structure, right? We see a shift back down. Then I'm all day going to be expecting the market to finally give us this correction. Okay, we have a lot of inefficiency in price right here that needs to be corrected. So that is a way that we could take advantage of that. Now, how is this going to correlate with what we're looking at? Well, let's go take a look at the euro, right? Because the euro does the exact opposite of the dollar, right? So if we're expecting that there's possibly going to be a correction coming up soon here for the actual dollar index, well, guess what? We're also going to potentially expect a reversal or a correction here for the euro as well. So just like we're pretty much trading inside of a supply zone, we're actually coming down and we're reaching into a demand zone here for the euro. So in this demand zone is where we have an opportunity to go ahead and catch a nice move up, right? A nice reaction off of this area. So this is what I'm going to be looking for. going into tonight and possibly going into tomorrow, right? If we do see price go ahead, and this one isn't showing as an equal low, right, and that's fine. But if we do see price end up spiking below this level, and then we see price end up coming back above structure, then I'm all day going to be looking for this reversal to occur. All day long, no questions asked, right? Let me make this a little bit prettier for you guys so you guys can know exactly what I'm going to be looking for, right? So if we see something like this, right, let's keep in mind we have this level of structure, this whole range right here of structure that we're pretty much playing off of right now. Let me go ahead and actually fill this up, right? I want to show you guys, and I want this to be as sexy as possible for y'all. Right, so we have this level of structure right here, right? Previous level of support, price came down, created a newfound support, technically a lower low. But if we see price come back down and create another lower low, and then we see a bounce back up in above this range right here, I'm buying the hell out of that. I'm buying the hell out of that. Okay, so let me show you guys again. I want you guys to get this, right? We could see possibly price come back down, break the lows, create a new low, but after we create that new low, especially if we come somewhere close to this demand zone, right, and then we see a reaction back above price, hopefully we see that reaction go ahead and break structure. That will give us even a lot more confidence. From there, we can go ahead and realistically look for more upside in the euro, right? And then we can go ahead and target this level of structure. We could target this level of structure, and then we can also target even structure back up all the way into this supply zone up here, all right? Because we do have a major area of supply all the way up in those levels as well, right? So that's also how we could play this, right? So overall, I do think, guys, that we are starting to lose steam here for the euro, to the downside at least. We had a very, very massive start to the week where we had a lot of downside. This is going to correct and is going to absolutely reverse very, very soon. So if we see something like this, and this could literally happen tonight, by the way, like by the morning time, at least for me over here in the US, I know some of you guys it's already morning, but I by the morning time, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a spike down here and we actually seen a nice reaction back to the upside, just so that we can at least see some type of a pullback here, you know, for the euro itself. Right, so that's really what I'm going to be looking for, guys, going into tonight. I want to see a spike below and then overall shift in momentum. Now, let's go ahead and also take a look, guys, and really compare and show divergence, right? And this is also something I just spoke about on this last day, but, you know, also being able to identify the change in momentum. Again, remember, read this, right? Big shout out to Nelson, Robert Nelson. What's going on, brother? I appreciate you. Welcome to the family. Shout out to you for being subscribed, right? But again, look at the change in momentum behind these pushes, right? When we're talking about reading price action, that's what we're talking about, right? Being able to read these type of momentum shifts and changes in the market, right? So we have massive push down. That's a big push. The next push that occurred that broke structure, look at how short this push is. And then we seen another break of structure. Look at how short this push is, right? So clearly momentum is starting to die down to the downside for now. Right, just looking at this and being able to read this, guys, is very, very telling, right? And not just that, but I like to use the MACD as an indicator, right? I like to use the MACD just because it definitely helps me identify a lot of things like volume, shifts in momentum, shifts in trend. And if we also really look at the MACD, we clearly see, guys, that we had a lot of selling volume right here when we seen this massive sell-off right here, right? A lot of volume. Look at this volume right here. Right, but every single time we had the next sell-off, look at how the volume continues to decrease. Look at how the volume behind these pushes, guys, continues to become less and less powerful, right? It becomes less and less more. That is showing us divergence in the market. Why? Because price is technically still creating lower lows, but the indicator is already starting to shift. Okay? So if we do see price, which again, it looks like it's about to happen soon. Look at how we're pushing down right now. But if we do see price go ahead and create another lower low on low volume, that's an opportunity to go ahead and get involved. Okay, if we see price create a new lower low, but we barely see any black candles in here that are forming, guys, that is time for us to jump in, right? That is how we're able to really go ahead and find some crazy entries in the market by simply taking advantage of that, right? Taking advantage of the fact that we are starting to decrease in volume, starting to decrease in momentum. Okay, so very, very interesting play here for UJ. A spike below, a spike back up, a retest can easily trigger a move higher. That is an opportunity for you to go ahead and get involved. So that's literally what I'm going to be looking at. That's what I'm going to be paying attention to. Right? I know a lot of you guys are always asking me questions like, Abel, how do I know when it's time to jump in? When do I get in? Right? When do I know? Well, exactly what I'm telling you guys right now is exactly how you actually identify that. Starting to read all this. Read the shifts in momentum. Read the dying down of momentum. And then also identifying structure and utilizing that to your advantage. Right? So that is key. So do not be surprised if we do see something like that occur going into tonight. Again, we do have this major demand zone as well that we're about to come into, so that's really where I would like to really see, you know, momentum officially shift overall. Right, so that in itself, guys, is absolutely powerful. I'm gonna keep my eyes on EURUSD going into tonight for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and see what else we got here. Look at UJ. Yep, for sure, I'll take a look at UJ since that's one of my pairs anyways, right, to look for. So let's go ahead and see what we got here, guys. UJ itself, again, I mean, even USDJPY is just showing signs that it really does want to go ahead and possibly shift lower, right? Just look at this price action, guys. We're here on the 4-hour time frame, right? We've seen price come up very strong. We've seen a pull back down, right? We've seen price come up, create another higher high. We've seen price come back down, create a higher low. We've seen price come back up, pretty much retest the high. But if you see this nice little spike above liquidity, we've seen another reaction back down. Right now, we're actually starting to create these lower highs. Right, look at that change in price action. We have higher high, higher high, higher high, now lower high, lower high. Okay, now what we really want to see, and the only thing that's really still holding this thing up, is that we're still technically creating these higher lows as well. So if we do see a lower low created, like if we see a break of the lows, guys, then that is definitely going to trigger more downside structure to be created. But we have to start getting in the habit of start reading these highs, guys, and the correlation between each corresponding high. Again, that's the question I always get. Hey, well, how do I know when the market is going to reverse? How do I know when it's time to get in? It starts by being able to identify these changes in momentum, these changes in momentum more than anything, right? So that's pretty much what's on my head. Right, so that's pretty much how we're able to do this. So overall, guys, this is also showing signs that it does want to go ahead and start to correct lower. It really is. So what can we do? What can we take advantage of? Or how can we take advantage of something like USDJPY? Well, very simple. Right, very, very simple. Right, what I'm doing now and what I'm about to do is now I want to go ahead and see how price pretty much reacts towards structure. Okay, I'm on the 1-hour time frame now, and what are we seeing? Right, we've seen this nice little strong push up, higher high, higher low, higher high, same low, lower high, and now we're starting to see this nice little candle. For whatever reason, USDJPY is getting a lot of strength right now, at least bearish strength, right? But now, if we actually end up seeing a break of structure, like if we see these lows, right, get taken out, then that could be evidence, signs of price wanting to continue lower. Now, the overall low that we really need to see broken, is definitely going to be from this demand zone right here. Right? If we can clear this demand zone, then we're definitely going to be seeing a more downside, guys, for UJ for sure. Right? And if that happens, then we're going to be able to target these lows. We're going to be able to target these lows. And then obviously we do have a major area of demand down here as well, where we clearly seen a lot of momentum pick in. So at this point, when we get down to here, we might as well just be on the sidelines and just see how the market overall reacts. But overall, guys, if we break this level of structure, that could be a clue, right? But the overall break that we really need to see is going to be this demand zone right here. If we break that, then I'm expecting more downside for sure. And overall, I'm expecting a short-term reversal in USDJPY for sure. All right, is this making sense, family? Drop some threes in the chat if this is making sense. right? Because it really starts with being able to identify these shifts in momentum. Look at this, right? Look at these shifts. Look at these shifts. All right, every time we create a new high, it gets completely erased, right? Completely erased every single time. In fact, the last time we created the ultimate high for this range right here was right here in price. All right, let me show you guys. All right, look at this, right? Was right here. We had this equal high right here. Price ended up spiking above that level, probably to capture some liquidity. But look at how we reacted as soon as we broke. Like, we seen this put, like, this was that last real strong push, right? That broke the high. There was a lot of demand for the yen at this price point, which pushed price higher. But then immediately we seen price shift right back down. And ever since we seen this shift right back down that broke numerous levels of structure, right? Now we haven't been able to come back up and be up in those levels. Ever since then, we seen this one correction. Now we're creating lower high. So again, there is a possibility for price to really start to see this thing reverse and go much lower. Okay, this is what it's all about, guys. Being able to identify these changes in structure, being able to identify these changes in momentum, can really lead to a lot of opportunities for sure. Right, but let's go ahead and look at what we're seeing here, guys, on the lower time frames, 15 minute, because like I said, there is a very strong increase in momentum right now, or at least from what we're seeing. All right, we did see a very aggressive sell-off that literally just happened over the past 15 minutes for whatever reason. I don't think there's any news that would have caused that little increase, but we are in the Asian session, so it's it could just be obviously Asian session volatility starting to pick up. But overall, again, you know, it just looks like the signs are pointing, guys, that this could really start to see more bearishness to come in. I mean, even look at this range that we have right here, right on the 15-minute time frame. Same exact thing. Look at, we have higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. This was the last higher high that we created. Ever since then, we're now starting to create these lower high sequences. Right, so there is a possibility for price to really shift. Now, looking for these shorts up here, I mean, just use proper risk management is all I'll tell you, because obviously betting against the dollar is something that's very, very hard to do. But overall, the signs are starting to show that it is very, very likely for this to actually go ahead and give us a reversal. So we'll see ultimately what's going to happen with this, guys. So overall, it's very interesting opportunity, very interesting times here for the yen. And yeah, we'll see what happens. You know, we have just been reacting off of this supply zone right here, and it looks like it's been holding pretty strong. You know, so for whatever reason, even if price does spike back up into here, I for some reason I'm just leaning towards this thing possibly going ahead and really correcting, you know, much lower. And then if we can go ahead and really break this demand zone, then it's going to be game over, right? We continue to really ride that thing much lower and just catch the correction overall, right? So that's what I'm looking for, guys, for UJ. You know, a retest back into the supply zone wouldn't be a bad opportunity for us to go ahead and look for some shorts, in my opinion. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at GJ. I know GJ is definitely a fan favorite. All right, definitely a fan favorite here for pound yen. And with right, you know, obviously this is definitely one of the most volatile currencies that we have access to. You know, but let's go ahead and see what we got here as well. All right, and see what we can pretty much find. Because what we spoke about yesterday, what did I tell you guys about yesterday on pound yen? Right, pound yen, guys, was like the only currency that I said I was interested in looking at and that I was interested in really taking advantage of. And what did I tell you guys? What did I tell you guys to expect yesterday? I literally, the same thing I'm breaking down now is the same exact reason why I was looking for the market to do exactly what it did. Why I was just reading it. Okay. Let's see. Japanese news. The Japanese yen is catching a safe haven bid following news that the former Prime Minister Abe was shot in the chest. Sheesh. Now being taken to the hospital. Damn. I'm praying for Prime Minister Abe. That's crazy. It's very close to my name. Abel. Man, that's too close to home. But definitely sending some prayers to former Prime Minister over there. That's nuts. He got shot in the chest. Sheesh. Sending prayers his way for sure, right? But that, something like that, news like that would definitely bring some volatility to the yen for sure, by the way. All right? Definitely bring volatility like that. But again, if you were on yesterday's stream, guys, I told you guys that we were expecting, or at least I was expecting price to really go ahead and start to go ahead and correct higher. A big reason for that is because of exactly what I was telling you guys. Let's go ahead and break this down. What were we actually trading in yesterday? All right, I told you guys this. Yesterday, we were in a demand zone. How do we know it's a demand zone? Because look at how price reacted from this level, right? We ended up breaking below this little structure point, left a huge wick beyond, and we've seen a massive shift in structure. That means that there's clearly a lot of demand for the pound in this price zone, in this price area. So when we were looking at it yesterday, that's exactly what we identified. The fact that we were in this demand zone, the fact that the market is probably going to give us a strong reaction out of there. And then when we were looking at it yesterday, I also told you guys that we're literally starting to see the change in momentum occur right now as we speak, where we are creating lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. We created this ultimate low, but then ultimately we really started creating this change in momentum. When we were looking at it yesterday, guys, we were literally around this area right here. Like this is the whole candlestick patterns that we were playing off yesterday, that we were looking at it, right? That's like that 10 o'clock time slot that I was looking at it with you guys. And the reason why I was very, very confident in this going higher was looking at the change in momentum. Every single time we created a new low, it wasn't as drastic as the most previous one, so momentum was clearly shifting. Clearly starting to shift. Why? Because we were in an area of demand. Now, again, if you guys were just on the call that I just did for you guys, all right, we spoke about some entry techniques when we are in the demand zone. All right, and if you guys were aware of that and would have seen all of this occur, then looking for an entry down here could have got us a freaking phenomenal entry. All right, like literally down here in this level would have been pretty juicy to go ahead and get involved. All right, and if we look at how price literally played off around this area, that is the exact spike low that was created. Again, when we're in the supply and demand zones, there's certain things that we want to look for. All right, again, remember, if you was just on the call I just held for you guys, day number 6, the bonus, you guys will know exactly why. Right, we seen that reaction, and then price gave us the play right off of that zone. Bow, right off of that zone. So that would have been a sniper entry. Right, and then immediately once we seen price leave this area, we seen an increase. We broke structure, price came down, created a higher low, came up, created a higher high, created a higher low, and now the rest is history. Trading really doesn't need to be complicated, but it does take time for you guys to actually get this though, right? Because it's really all about training your eyes to identify key levels, and then training your eyes to really identify what price action is doing around these key levels. Oh man, I promise y'all, this sauce right here could really change the game for anybody that's listening right now. Like, this sauce right here is game changer. So overall, guys, that's pretty much how we actually play that. Now, what can we do next? What can we expect next for pound yen? What can we really realistically, what can we expect? Right, well, again, look what was just left behind. All right, again, I hate to continue to bring up the boot camp and stuff, but the boot camp is so powerful because I literally go in depth on these things. Right, but day number 6, we just spoke about this today, 3 hours ago. Right, we had, again, an uptrending market. We are in an uptrend. We're in a demand zone still, technically speaking. All right, we just seen a very strong bullish day, bullish closure. We're now going to expect a potential retest back down into a order block. So when we are back into that order block, that's where we can realistically start looking for more opportunities to go ahead and continue higher. So stay woke. For GJ, if we see price come right back down into this demand zone, down here, I'm in there. I'm in there. right? Or at least that's where I would like to go ahead and get involved in, right? Somewhere down in this level. So if we see price come down into here, we have to expect a nice reaction, right? And then we can go ahead and ride it up into this area of supply that we have up here, right? So if we get an entry down here, then we could potentially ride it up to here. And then if we actually break this supply zone, then we go ahead and use the supply zone as an area to entry, and then we continue riding this thing up. So GJ does look pretty juicy. I would not be surprised if we do get a nice reaction down off of these levels down here, though, like at all. All right, so that's my GJ analysis. Again, overall, we've been pretty much destroying this, playing it. Really just been taking advantage of it, take advantage of what the market is giving us. So yeah, I really like this opportunity, guys, to go ahead and give us a bullish reaction off of GJ from these areas. Let's see. How do you think the NFP will affect pairs like gold? Yes, you are 100% right, guys. So again, we spoke about the initial jobless claims, which came out today, but we do have major news coming out tomorrow, right? With NFP, right? NFP is tomorrow, and we also have the unemployment rate coming out tomorrow as well, right? Again, major news. And for all my euro traders, we also have a high political figure that's going to be speaking on the euro tomorrow. So in the morning, it's going to be a lot of volatility. And also for the Canadian dollar as well, we have the employment change for the Canadian dollar as well, right? So we do have a lot of news coming out tomorrow. Now again, my opinion, right? Let's show you guys what NFP measures. Right, so for all you guys that are always wondering, hey, but what these news releases are, bro? Well, just click on the actual release and it will tell you. Right, non-farm payroll measures the change in the number of people employed during the previous month. Okay, look at this. The previous number came out at 390. They're expecting a drop in non-farm payrolls. Family, is that going to be looked at as good or bad for the economy? Right, remember, let's understand what this measures. It measures the change in the number of people employed during the previous month, excluding certain arenas, certain aspects. But for the most part, it measures the change in number of employed people during the previous month. So if we're seeing a 130,000 drop, is that looked at as good for the economy or bad? Remember, economy strength, a part of an economy's strength is defined by a strong employment data. Strong employment data is great for an economy. When we start to see employment numbers go down and become less and the unemployment rate start to go up, that is typically not looked at as good. That's not going to bring no type of optimism or faith in the markets, right? So yeah, if this does come out as what's forecasting and it comes out way less than expected, if it comes out even less than what's forecasted, then we should definitely expect a lot of these indices like the S&P, US 30 to absolutely go ahead and continue to drop. Okay? We should expect that. That will be the reaction. If the unemployment rate goes up, we should expect that. Right, we should expect the equities markets, the asset market, the index market, the stock market, right? All these riskier assets to lose value. We should expect that. Now, what's going to do for the currency? We should expect a bump in the currency. We could possibly expect a more bullish dollar off of the data. It's very possible. But we also got to keep in mind, guys, a lot of this data typically is already priced into the markets, right? But still, overall, the concept is still the concept, right? We should expect indices to drop and risk off assets to actually increase, right? The safe havens to benefit. Now, as for gold, gold is a little interesting little buddy over here, right? Gold is an interesting little buddy, right? Because gold has been just getting walloped against the dollar, right? It has just been getting walloped, been getting destroyed. Like even gold, which is typically a very safe asset to invest into during times of chaos and craziness and fear and uncertainty, typically gold usually benefits from it. But lately, it has not been able to do that, right? It has been getting walloped across the face against the dollar. And there could be a lot of different reasons why. All right, obviously, you know, somebody had brought up the whole situation in Uganda, where they actually found a massive supply of gold over there in Uganda that was not known of, right? Like, they're talking about trillions of dollars or trillions of gold found, and that obviously could add into the supply of gold, which could continue to cause it to decrease in value itself, because now the supply of gold has just like doubled or tripled. That could play out. Or it could also just be because of the dominance of the dollar itself, right? Like, everybody's just so much more comfortable investing into the US dollar opposed to anything else, right? So there's mad different factors, a lot of different factors, guys, on what gold can actually do. But overall, it's hard to, yeah, we're coming into this demand zone down here where we clearly find a lot of demand for gold, where, you know, a lot of traders and investors and hedge funds obviously think that gold is extremely cheap at these levels, which is why we continue to see price react off of there. But overall, like, it's really tough for me to say I want to buy gold now, right? Just because it hasn't been benefiting at all. Like, all year, I mean, not all year, but since February, we just been seeing this thing absolutely get destroyed overall. You know, I was expecting gold, guys, to really go ahead and actually fly. It hasn't done it. All right, it hasn't done it. All right, so now it's a little harder for us to really expect gold to really go ahead and continue flying and go bullish, especially when we don't have no evidence of it doing that. The only type of evidence we have is that it continues to lose value. So at this point, if we do see some type of a pullback for whatever reason, right, we could pull back into previous levels of structure, right? I'm going to be expecting just more downside until further notice. Right, I'm not going to try to go against this momentum. I don't want to try to bet against the trend as a whole. So I want to stay with what the momentum is currently showing, right? Where the energy is currently at. And the momentum and the energy right now is definitely a lot more to the downside. So with data that comes out tomorrow, we might see a short-term spike in the markets, but we might end up spiking right up into this supply zone right here in the shorter time frame. Right? If we do see a spike, then guess where we're probably going to spike into? This area of supply, right? And then from this area of supply, we might really see more downside here for gold. Just my opinion, right? I could be wrong. I'm only human. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a fortune teller, right? I can't tell you with 100% certainty what's going to happen, because if I did, I'll be lying, and that's not what I do, right? It is what it is. But we could actually see price realistically do something like this, right? Go ahead and spike up into that supply and then go ahead and shift lower. Or price could say, nope, Abel, forget that. We're not even going to waste no time. We're just going to continue dropping. That's also very possible as well. All right. Again, like I said, I don't dictate what the market eventually ends up doing. I just create my setups. I create my opportunities. I look at probabilities, and then I just pretty much react to what the probabilities are pretty much telling me. All right. Big shout out to our newest subscribers. I appreciate you. What's going on, family? Shout out to you guys. Right. We just had 2 new subscribers. I appreciate you guys for subscribing. But overall, guys, yeah, you know, for me, if I'm looking for anything on gold, it would definitely be looking to short from the supply zone more than anything. That would be my best bet. Looking to short from the supply area. Now, what happens if price breaks that level? Now, if we break that level, see, then we might have a little bit of an opportunity to go ahead and just at least expect price to come back up to this area of supply up here. Right, so, but that's a whole nother story. If it happens, then we'll go ahead and revisit that and see what we can do from that. All right, for sure. But overall, guys, this is how I will be personally playing, you know, gold. You know, I'm expecting more downside. So if by the news that comes out tomorrow, if NFP comes out bad, if, you know, unemployment rate comes out higher than expected, then we could see a momentarily increase in gold. But then overall, I think we're still going to see more downside for sure. All right, so that's where we're at with that, guys. So again, we have a lot of very interesting things. Let me go ahead and just take a look at yen, pound yen, because this thing has obviously increased in volume because of whatever news that actually came out. USDJPY as well is also starting to tank, right? Very, very nicely. This thing is starting to drop tremendously, right? Again, remember what we just talked about with USDJPY, right? Remember what we talked about for USDJPY, right? Again, this thing was already showing signs that this thing is probably going to drop. Right, so yeah, we have this demand zone right here, but even off this demand zone, guys, if we see price pull back up, I'm expecting this demand zone to get ran through. Right, like I'm expecting it to get ran through. Okay, so just keep this in mind. Remember what I said to you guys. this already has signs of price slowing down and price showing signs of reversal. Look at how we're starting to now pick up this volume. The yen is starting to increase in strength, which is causing price to drop. We should expect a reaction out this demand zone, but we should expect it to be short-lived. Okay, let me say that again. We should expect a reaction out of the demand zone because we clearly had a demand for the dollar at this level, and there's probably some unfilled orders right at that level, but I believe it's going to be short-lived, and I'm going to be expecting more downside here for dollar yen. That's just my opinion. Okay, I'm thinking that we're starting to actually see price really go ahead and potentially really start to reverse to the downside overall. All right, so that's pretty much my opinion, guys, here for for dollar yen. In terms of pound yen, obviously, if the yen does obviously dominate in strength, then yeah, I still do want to see price react off of this demand zone. But then we could realistically, off of that supply zone, there is realistically a chance for price to also react off of there and really come back to the downside as well. Right, there's definitely an opportunity for that to happen for sure. Right, something like this, right? Like you could literally just play the ping pong right with this opportunity. A reaction off of demand, bring us up to supply, and then a reaction off of supply, probably bringing us right back down into demand. So overall, that looks pretty juicy, looks pretty good overall. You know, so we'll be pretty much just keeping our eye on how that's playing out, right? Let's see what EURUSD is doing. So EURUSD is finally starting to drop again down here, guys. If we do get a nice reaction down to the 1.01 level, 1.013, anywhere down in these areas where I really think that we could start to find that support and then eventually give us that bounce back to go higher. Let's see what dollar yen, or not dollar yen, but pound dollar is doing. So pound dollar, we did actually get a nice little reaction, guys, down from this level, from this support zone, this area of structure down here. Now, what can we actually expect next, though, right? Are we actually in an area of structure? Are we in an area of demand? And yeah, we are. Look at this area right here, right? This entire range, guys, is just screaming demand. Right, look at this, right? So we are at a clearly a very, very key level, very strong level here for, you know, pound dollar. We did see a nice little reaction from these lows. Again, read the actual lows. Look how strong this drop was, right? And then look at how strong this drop was. All right, look at the difference, right? That's showing that momentum clearly is not strong at all, guys, to the downside for pound dollar right now. So overall, I think we're really going to start to see this thing also go ahead and correct back to the upside. You know, I would like to see it come all the way up to here, 1.228 level. That would be pretty lit, right? That would be pretty cool, right? But, you know, we'll see what happens with this. But overall, I will be looking for more buy opportunities, guys, for, you know, pound dollar, probably going into tonight. Where would I like to look for buy opportunities from? Probably back at this level of structure right here, right? This level right here. And the reason why I like that level is because we do have an area of demand that was literally created at this level that caused price to break up higher. So if we are able to see price come back down into here, then that's really an opportunity for us to go ahead and get involved. So I like that level. In my opinion, I think it's a nice juicy level that we could take advantage of. And then we could potentially see something like, you know, short term, obviously go ahead and ride this thing up to this area of supply up here. All right, clear area of supply where we've seen obviously a lot of selling occur, but realistically, we can even potentially see price go ahead and run that level and even continue a little bit higher as well. Right, so even this one, guys, looks pretty juicy for pound dollar. You know, something to keep your eye on. You know, see what happens. You know, if you get that entry, amazing. You know, ride it out if you can, and if you don't, and if you do, and if, you know, just deal with the consequences at the end of the day, right? That's all us Forex traders do, guys, right? We take these trade setups, we take these opportunities, and then we deal with the consequences afterwards, whether they're positive or negative consequences, you know, and that's what we got to do at the end of the day. Right, big shout out to our newest subscribers. I appreciate you guys. Welcome to the family. We just had 2 new family members join the chat. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all, and hopefully I'm able to give y'all some value. So for dollar or pound dollar, this is what it's really looking like, at least for me, in my opinion. Okay. Let's look at Aussie dollar. Right now, Aussie dollar is pretty interesting, right? We actually seen price literally come up to a supply zone right here, and look at the reaction that we're seeing right out of this supply zone right here, right? Pretty nice reaction. I already had it highlighted earlier too, because I was looking at price and I was looking to see if price was going to react up there. I didn't know if it was going to get up there this soon, but it clearly did, right? So we did see price actually come up to the supply zone, And again, just because it was a supply zone, a strong one at that, we should expected the market to react. But what I'm looking for, guys, is again, I think that we could really see potentially more upside here, guys, for Aussie as well, Aussie dollar, right? So yeah, we did just see price go ahead and break this level of structure, which is very telling. So we could see a pullback, and then ultimately I think we're going to see more downside, at least for now, for the short term. But when we come down into this demand zone, that's when I believe we're going to get an opportunity to go ahead and really buy this thing back up, right? But from a short-term perspective overall, guys, like, this is not looking like a bad opportunity for people to go ahead and get involved in, right? And looking at this level of structure, this 0.685 level, that could be a real opportunity to go ahead and short Aussie dollar, like realistically, right? And then we can go ahead and target right back down into this demand zone. Like, this is something probably going to be one of my favorite setups going into tonight now that we're actually looking at it. So yeah, if we're able to see price come back up to here, I like that, right? I like that a lot. Why? Because it's previous structure, right? We had these highs created. We seen price go ahead and run the highs, run this pocket of liquidity, right? And then immediately go ahead and reverse because we did have a strong supply zone, right? So yeah, if we're able to see price pull back up into that level, we can look for a lower high to be created somewhere in that zone. And that's where I would really be comfortable looking to take advantage of this opportunity. But yeah, this one does look pretty juicy. If we can see that pullback, I really like the opportunity for that to go ahead and continue going short for now. Right, that one does look pretty good, guys. I'm not even going to lie. Probably the best setup that we've seen so far on this stream. We looked at a lot of different setups so far, right? But this is definitely looking extremely juicy. Definitely looking extremely juicy. Right, so that looks good. That looks good for sure. So if we're able to get that entry, that'll be dope. And if not, it is what it is, right? We're not gonna cry. We're not gonna cry over nothing, right? But overall, this does look good, especially how we seen this reaction, like the big strong break of structure, that big shift. Oh yeah, I like that, right? And if we also look where our entry point is gonna be at, guess what we have? This is also an area of supply. Even on the smaller time frame, we can see that the momentum really started to pick up. Right up in here, massive drops that just came in. So yeah, that's probably gonna be a very good looking setup, guys, going into tonight. You could either wait for price to get up there, or you could set a pending order. I'm probably gonna just set the pending order for this one and just see how the market reacts to it by the morning time. Yeah, that doesn't look bad though at all. That doesn't look bad at all. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at, guys, going into tonight. Overall, though, it's been a really interesting week for the most part. Being fully transparent, I had a very up and down week overall. Still very much in profit, but definitely took a lot of break evens, a lot of losses. Took a bunch of trade setups that I felt like looked really, really good that just didn't play out, and it happens. It is what it is. Big shout out to our newest subscribers. We just had 3 subscribers back to back come in. I appreciate y'all. Welcome to the family. Thank you guys for supporting, and hopefully I'm able to give y'all some value. But family, once again, I keep on saying it. I will continue saying it. Right, I do have the next boot camp. Right, the next 5-day boot camp. Right, a 5-day virtual online boot camp is approaching in about a month. Right, is going live very, very soon. Right, and that's gonna be August 15th through the 19th. Okay, a 5-day boot camp. I just did my first one this past week, and it was next level. Guaranteed value was given on each day. A lot of breakthroughs, a lot of aha moments were given, and I would like to invite you guys to the next one, which is going down August 15th through the 19th. And please go ahead and take advantage of it, because it will change the game for you. Absolutely guaranteed. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, like none, that it will change the game for you guys. No doubt in it, right? Like, whatsoever. Like, I like to even give, even though I shouldn't, but I like to even give you guys a little bit of a a little bit of a incentive. Like, yo, if you don't like what I give you, if you don't gain no value whatsoever, then by all means let me know, and I'll go above and beyond and try to make it up to you, right? But please, if you're interested, make sure to sign up, make sure to enroll, make sure to get your spot locked in. I'm only going to take a certain amount of people this time, right? Last one went absolutely crazy, right? I'm only taking a certain amount of people. I did actually just drop, right, the link that you need to fill, right? You need to fill out this form right here to be a part of the boot camp, right? So if you are serious about the boot camp, go ahead and fill out this form so that you can make sure that you are going to be a part of it. Okay, you do not want to miss out. So fill out that form right there. Make sure to go ahead and secure your spot ASAP so that you can really get real insight on how to really do this trading thing on a professional level. Okay, but family, besides that, I appreciate y'all. I look forward to seeing you guys here again next week. I do go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on YouTube to provide you guys with value. The next boot camp is August 15th through the 19th, so please start securing your spots. We're not going to take everybody. We are going to be very limited on spots for this one, so take advantage of it if you're serious about your education, and I promise you it will be absolutely next level. But family, I appreciate you guys. I love y'all. That's going to be it for me tonight. Like I said, I do got to go ahead and actually start packing. I got an early flight in the morning, or I got an early trip in the morning as well, leading into a flight. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the sack very, very soon. But family, I appreciate y'all. We had a phenomenal week here, and I look forward to seeing you guys all back next week. Love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Let's get it.